Hello.
Well, to start out, my name's Tom. I am in my early 40s, and that's me when I was 10. It was my first love. Yeah, pretty sad. Yeah, that's me. Anyway, moving on. So from computers, now it's just a livelihood. I do something nerdy, of course. So the description of this channel description, there's a what, where, and a when. What is basically, this is a channel that I can explore playing around on different toys. So that could be cars, that could be trucks, that could be planes, motorcycles. You get the picture. There are several series that I have planned. For example, Austin, the surrounding city neighborhoods. I plan on riding my motorcycles through there, checking them out, and giving you descriptions of what's around there. The naming of the videos should be unique and should be simple to find, simple to follow, and I'll keep that stuff up to date so you can find accurate information. Another series that I'm working on is there's a Mad Maps book. It's called Get Out of Town Austin. So basically it's the surrounding areas, neat road trips. So the very first episode, I filmed most of that. It's the sport bike route. It's about 126 miles, and you can go, it's beautiful scenic views. For a sport bike, it would be great. It's really a neat ride. I can't wait to share it and let everybody else see it also. But that's just another series as an example. There'll be a series where it's bike upgrades, where I talk about tech gear, all the junk that I use, things like that. The reason I wear the helmet, I'm not going to show my face or anything, and most of this stuff will be done on a motorcycle or the hot rod, I don't know, whatever. Something else where you won't see my face. So that's that. And mostly the wear part of it is the Austin and surrounding areas. This video, the introduction to the channel, should be updated, and the text description should always be up to date. So if you have any questions as to what gear I'm using, what series there may be, or whatever else, please consult this video. Look down there at the description of it, and I should keep it up to date. So the channel's called TomAndToys. So the toys, I mostly consider them motorcycles and ATVs, anything gas-powered pretty much. It doesn't really matter what it is. It could be a moped. It could be a sport bike, dirt bike, and I've just recently got into cruisers. I'm getting up in age, and I just want something comfortable that me and my girl can get on and ride around in the open air and enjoy ourselves. I used to complain about Harleys and cruisers and things like that. I really can't complain about anything. Everything is fun. Whatever brings enjoyment to you, whatever makes you happy, whatever makes that person happy, do it to it. And the technology of a Harley, that was one of my big complaints. It's such a clunker, and there are so many problems with them and such. People who ride Harleys, they probably know they're clunkers. They probably know that the technology of a Harley is not up to date, and probably feel that the feeling of riding a Harley and the camaraderie that goes along with it, whatever else that may be appealing to that person, that's what they're there for. And hey, let everybody have their own opinion. So that's the way I feel about it. I still love crotch rockets. I love racing. I just don't do it anymore. I like being comfortable. I like riding around. And now, since I got another dual sport, I love just looking at a spot and saying, I'm going that way. I'm going that way. And I don't care what it is. If it's a field, if it's construction going on, I'll go jump anything I can find, do wheelies across things, whatever else. It's just fun. Yeah, it's all about fun. Toys. There you go. I want to talk about bikes now. Let's talk about bikes. Motorcycles. That's what I really enjoy. It's a passion of mine. And that's what mostly this channel is going to be on. So I'll start talking there. I got my first motorcycle when I was 6 years old. It was a fluke. My brother said that for Christmas he wanted a motorcycle. So my parents decided, I think it was my mom, decided that, hey, little Tom needs a motorcycle also. I didn't know anything about it. I rode bicycles. I just learned not too much before that, I guess. It was a 25cc motorcycle. It was a two-stroke. It was a full-on motorcycle. It wasn't a mini bike. Back in the time, mini bikes were a big thing where you had a frame, a lawnmower engine, and two clunky wheels, and you rode and hurt yourself on it because it was so bumpy. And yeah, it was a full-on motorcycle. I really enjoyed it. I mean, there was no gears. You start it up and you go. All the equipment was in pretty much the right spot, with the exception it had a front kickstarter that was pretty unique. I have nothing but fond memories of it. I'm certainly glad my parents got that because it's been a passion ever since. I've loved motorcycles. I love everything about them. I understand the dangers. I understand all the controversy on them, and I understand what hooligans do on them. Hi. I rode it mostly in El Paso, Texas. My dad was stationed there, so we were all there, obviously. We got to ride through the deserts and just have a blast. So for me to go out and ride wasn't a chore. It wasn't a task. Nobody had to help me. Basically, I told my parents, hey, I'm going out riding, and they said, okay. I would ride to the end of the block, and there was the desert. And I would take off across the desert. We saw rattlesnakes, bunnies, bulldozers built jumps for us. We had a blast. I mean, everything was just, those were the days. When I was more of a teenager, I got a go-kart, little 3-horsepower go-kart, single seat. It was basically a flat thing with little bitty wheels on it, little pneumatic wheels. It was okay on speed. It ran less than it didn't, so it didn't run very often, and I didn't know how to fix it much. I was just a kid. I had a really bad wreck on that thing. I mean, those things are probably more dangerous than motorcycles. There wasn't a suspension on it. It was a flat thing with axles that were just rods, and it was simple. And while I was riding it through grass, one time there was a ditch, and it was running horizontal, and the front end goes down, and as the front of the frame hit the other end of the ditch, my whole body, there's no seatbelt on these things, it wasn't anything to it, my whole body crashes into the steering wheel. And man, that caused more pain than I knew what to do with. So I laid on the ground out of breath, and knocked the wind out of me. There you go. I did all that stuff, and it was quite a pain. So I never did like that thing. Anyway, cars suck. And my first car was an Escort GT. Ooh, all the ladies loved me. Kidding. It was fine for a first car, I guess. Later, I got a DR650. That thing was a blast. I cannot tell you honestly why I got rid of it. I just don't know. I think maybe I was upgrading. I don't know. Whatever. I sure wish I had one again. I'm actually thinking about getting one, so we'll see how that goes. Eventually, I got a 99 SV650 when they first came out, and that bike was a blast. I raced it, had a good time. I mean, it's a good machine. Four-wheelers, TRX 300, I think is what I had. That thing was a blast too. I used to hunt on that thing. I did work around the house, run trees over, just whatever I wanted to do, I could do. I had a hitch on the back. I could tow things. I towed my trailers. I did whatever. I mean, it was just a good vehicle, and it was still fun. Somewhere in there, I got a DR350, and I think I had an RM250. It was a clunker. Oh, that was a piece of junk. Anyway, but the DR350, there are stories behind that. Maybe someday I'll go into them because they are worth hearing. And in there as pit bikes, I had a PW80, I had a JR50, and I also used to, this wasn't a profession or anything, this was for weekend fun. A friend of mine got me into racing, little bikes. Late 80s, early 90s, they made something called Yamaha made a YSR 50. They were street legal, and they were exactly 50% in height. It was a cafe racer, a crotch rocket, whatever. Again, the displacement was 50 cc's, so it wasn't much to it. I think I think they were stock 8 horsepower. I think you could pump them up to like 12 or something crazy once you throw some money at it. It was a cheap form of racing, and you never, ever, ever saw the biggest, fattest, burliest fellas on little bitty motorcycles having so much fun. It was really a joy. I learned so much. I learned so much about street riding. I learned so much about racing. Body position, everything. Well, heck, you're only this far off the ground, so everything is much more intense, and it really felt fast. I mean, I could get that thing up to 60 if I tried with wind and pushing it and being towed, but it would do 60. GSX-R 1000. I had a 2005 GSX-R 1000. That guy was the bomb. Full Yoshimura exhaust, Dynajet Power Commander 3, I think is what it was. I installed a radar detector inside the fairing. So in the left side of the fairing, it was a pieced out radar detector. It was a K40, I think is what the brand was. I made a whole installation document and everything else. But anyway, the receiver module went inside the fairing, so you could never see it. I had a little super bright LED on my dash. It started out as green. I replaced it with blue because my bike was blue. I had a laser diffuser up front, so that would disperse laser signals to mess up laser beams. Yeah, that was pretty unique. That was really sharp. It was a sad day when I sold that motorcycle. I sold the motorcycle. I ended up getting into travel trailers and motorhomes and things like that, and went across the country and went to Canada and goofing off. And it was a time where I lost my job and decided to travel a little bit, so I did that and came back and started working again. Back into bikes. Got a Harley in January and have loved every second on it. I've never had a cruiser. I considered Japanese. I considered Victory. I considered Triumph. I can just, you name it, I considered everything. Ducati. Ended up getting a Harley. Got a really special deal on it, and it was a great price. Everything was great about it. It was probably the best model of Harley I could pick. I didn't know it at the time. After researching and looking at them, wow, I did good. I was very happy. So yeah, Robert, he's an awesome bike. I got him now. He's wonderful. Love him. I also recently, like a couple weeks ago, picked up a KLX 250S. So it's a dual sport bike. It's a Kawasaki 250cc. Doing modifications on it because it's somewhat lethargic, and these modifications are supposed to pump it up and make him fun, make him a wheelie king, and just a fun all around bike. And again, I like to just point and go. I don't care what it is, trails, somebody's yard, I don't care. I just want to go fart around on it. So that's basically that. What else? Are there any other motorcycles? I got my daughter a motorcycle. She has an XR50R. Very special. She rode it 2 days ago for the first time, 3 days ago for the first time. And that young lady did excellent. She understood she was probably going to crash, and that she did. She crashed twice. Yeah, got up and was good to go, and really paid attention and did really well. So, I've been doing this moto vlogging stuff probably longer than anybody. Back in the day, we used to call them helmet cameras, and these things. Used to call them helmet cameras, and this was one of them. This was one of my first ones, and they call them lipstick cameras or helmet cameras. I got it at helmetcamera.com. I don't even know if they're still around, but that's it. And oh my gosh, were these complicated. So here's the camera. It's corded, of course. With the cord, it goes down and also has a microphone. So there's the mic. I don't think I had any wind noise stuff on it. I just put it behind my visor. I usually did it dirt bike riding for family movies and stuff. That's about it when my brother and I went riding. Along with this complication came all of this stuff. So you have your RCA connectors. I put a little Molex connector on there that was for, I believe, a remote control car battery. Male-female side. So I could hook it up to the charger really easily, or hook it up to the battery really easily. This was for the battery. It used a 12-volt, rather large battery. Holy smokes, was it huge. So I was carrying that thing also. This ridiculous contraption was a mono, so it's got mono in the white audio, and I just did this so at least I get 2 channels out of it. Just a little splitter, and then here's your video, and then that went into a camcorder in my case that had the ability to accept RCA in, which was difficult to find because it was a camcorder, of course, and I didn't want to get like a tape video recorder at the time. So they didn't have this fancy hard drive or SD cards or CF cards or no kind of cards. They just tapes. So anyway, did that, and then so I had all this contraption. hooked to that large battery and hooked to the camcorder, which was relatively large, in a backpack, all wired up to me, and it was a chore to put on, and it was really complicated. And here's the battery charger. So that was another mess you had to finagle with. I'm glad where it's gone. So right now I don't have it, but I have a Sena backpack on order. It's coming. So I won't be needing this extra cable or the mic. It'll go through my Sena. So I will zero cables from here to here, and everything will be Bluetooth. And I'll be able to conference with my girl and with my daughter, and we can have group conversations, and this channel will also include that. So I hope you enjoy everything. Please like, rate, subscribe, share it, do whatever you need to do. I appreciate you watching everything. Again, thank you for visiting. I hope you like the videos. If you have any requests, please send them in. Thank you very much. Goodbye.